Three key principles to getting a top 1% physique and looking like this. This is what we do on a weekly basis for our members inside the Gorilla Platoon. Get them from looking pretty decent to looking fucking exceptional. Because I believe if you're in this game to get in shape, you should strive for the absolute best. It's very, very weak-minded and very low sense of self-esteem to just settle for an average level of a look. Like, you should strive to be a fucking machine. And we'll come on to mindset in a second. But that should be your literal birthright. Like, it really would be a shame for you to like just get older and older and never actually see how sick you could have looked, all because you really didn't fucking try hard enough. So let's get into the weeds of this video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Tom Sergey. I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is an online physique transformation program like this, where we get results each and every week, and then we just talk about them online so you can apply them to your own life. So I broke this down into 3 principles. The very first one is going to be your mindset. This is mission critical that you set this up first, because if you try and lay, like, this is the foundations, if you try and lay your tactics on top of poor foundations, you just won't get there. I've seen it that many times. So let's nail this first. The very first thing you want to do is understand the deeper why behind this, because this is all just part of a process. It's not really that you wanted to be 10% body fat or you wanted the physique. It was, look one step past that. It's like, why do you want those things in the first place? It's more than likely you wanted these things so the people around you can see you as a leader, see you as a machine, see you as a killer. They can respect you, they can look up to you, they can lean into you for discipline. All of these reasons, most likely if you've got a family or friends or people around you, you wanted to inspire them, and therefore that keeps you very accountable and on the path as well. Obviously, confidence goes through the absolute roof when you walk around and look like this, and literally everyone just respects you and gives you good attention. So we can understand, probably we all have very similar views on why you want this, but you actually need to be clear on that, because a lot of you will look at things at surface level. A lot of you will think, oh, I'm trying to follow a meal plan. It's like, you're not trying to follow a meal plan. You are going to live like an athlete. Just as a result of that, you're going to eat this way. You're not going to think, well, I'm trying to follow a training split. No, it's like, I'm going to be an athlete as a result of that. I need to just act in accordance with that by following this training split. Don't follow tactics or surface level stuff. Don't think I want to be 10% body fat. It's like, I want to walk around in a body that makes me feel like an absolute machine. As a result of that, I'm going to be 10% body fat, rather than looking at it at surface level. You must believe when you're on this path, because there will be testing times, that nothing is a bridge too far. You know, some people are like, nah, I just can't do that. Or, no, that's too intense for me. All right, it's too hard. You don't want to fall into that category of being one of those guys. You need to genuinely believe that nothing is out of your reach. Like, yep, I can do that. Yep, I'll go and get that thing done. 20K steps, yeah, cool. I'll just go and get it done. You need to be the guy that whatever life throws at you, you're like, yeah, no problem. I'll just get it done because I'm the guy that gets it done. And you need to have that confidence of this. I learned this from people in the army that I work with. Not everyone had this, obviously, but some of them did, where they were like, yeah, I'll get that thing done, no problem, and they would just get it done. Nothing was like beyond them. They never showed any weakness. They just took it with a smile on their face and got it done, no matter how hard the thing was. You want to be that guy. Nothing in this life needs to be able to phase you where you just can't get it done because you're weaker than the thing. You never want to have that attitude or that mindset. You always must believe, yeah, whatever I set my mind to, with enough time and effort, that's the disclaimer. I'm not saying you can fucking learn how to be a heart surgeon in 5 minutes. I'm saying with enough time and effort of your like focus and attention and willpower and grit and determination, you could do whatever you wanted to, because in theory that realistically is going to be the case. We've seen people where they've just never given up, who probably didn't have the right to be in that position, but they never gave up and then they got there. You want to be in that exact same position when it comes to getting in shape. As I've just touched on, you want to think, I am an athlete. From this day forward, you want to treat yourself like you are an athlete. You're not someone that's trying to get in shape. You're an athlete living in accordance with how they would live. As a result, you look like one. Like, you look at this photo, you think, yeah, that's an athlete. Realistically, he just lived like an athlete for long enough. Now he looks like one. That's the way to view this. Also, you need to think people need you to be this guy. If you ever struggle for motivation, just look at the people around you and know that you are not turning up for them in the best possible light because you're not being the man you should be. Like, you're not being someone of discipline, therefore they can't learn from you to be disciplined. You're not someone that's consistent, therefore they're going to be inconsistent. You're not someone that's resilient, so they think it's okay to show weakness. Especially if you've got children, you should double down on this even more, because your children are going to be a reflection of how you are. So if you're not in shape, if you don't have discipline, consistency, resilience, then ultimately they're not going to either, and it's going to be your fault and a reflection of you. So you have people, no matter who you are and how old you are, like, you have people that rely on you to be this guy. Even if you are like younger and you're the son and you have a father, like, he needs you to be this fit, strong athlete that maybe he couldn't have been. And he needs to take inspiration from that and apply that into his own life. And he would love nothing more than to see you grow into this person that he couldn't be. So you need to understand deeper reasons and solid mindset in order to actually make this change. Otherwise, I can tell you the next 2 points, it doesn't fucking matter. You won't stick to it. If you get this right first, then you absolutely will. And the second 2 points will be more of a breeze to get to the goal. So the next point, obviously, to get a top 1% physique is you need to be sub or in and around the region of 10% body fat, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see all of the density. And like, a 15% body fat is just not a top 1% physique, in my opinion. You need to be 10% or below to actually showcase all the work that you've got. Otherwise, you're not going to see half the muscle. You're not going to see the abs. You wouldn't see the cap on the delts. So you need to be 10% body fat. Lean is the law. Lean, it doesn't really matter how much muscle obviously it does, but it doesn't matter like how much muscle you have if you're lean, because even the leanest people, if they don't have that much muscle, they still look a lot better than someone that maybe has 2 or 3 kilos more, but they also have a lot more body fat as well. So for the most part, you want to get lean and stay relatively lean for most of your lifting career, because you're just going to look and feel much, much better. When we're looking to get lean, which most of you need to, most of you watching this, if you want a top 1% physique, are not 10% or below body fat, and you need to get lean. When you're doing this, set yourself, providing you're not too fat, if you're like 20% or below, then start in a small deficit of just 200 calories. Literally sit just below maintenance. Keep your carbs as high as you can. Carbs are one of your biggest factors for driving your training performance in the gym. It's going to keep your cortisol down, therefore stress on the body down, and your ability to recover better will actually come as well. It's not that carbs like drive recovery, but carbs keep cortisol lower, which stop you being stressed, which help you sleep better, which also drives recovery. So in an indirect way, they do drive recovery. In a very direct way, they drive performance. That's going to be the building blocks for how to train and how to actually grow muscle. So they are mission critical macronutrients. Obviously, you're going to hit your protein target, lean mass times by 2.4, and your fats you're set to around 20% of the target. They'll come down later on in the dieting phase, but your carbs you want to keep as high as possible. So if I'm saying sit in a small deficit and I'm saying keep your carbs high, we can understand that we're going to utilize cardio as well to drive fat loss. The reason being, you're an athlete, you want to be fit. You don't just want to go through a starvation process to get down to 10% body fat. So when you're doing your cardio, we want to run something that you can do daily. So don't be out. You can run outside maybe once or twice a week on your non-lifting days, but you don't want to be doing it daily, because you'll just A, accumulate fatigue, B, your joints will be cooked, and C, it's just going to be a miserable process. So run something that you can do daily. We're talking a bike or an incline treadmill walk. Keep your heart rate 120 to 130. That seems to be the sweet spot for burning body fat from what I can see from my members, and just keep doing that every day. Obviously, in the beginning, you could just block it. Like if it's 140 per week, in terms of minutes, break that up in the days that you have off and then stick with that. On the back end, so you've got formal cardio to drive fat loss. You've also got NEAT, or in the form of like steps. This is called non-activity exercise thermogenesis. It's just your basic daily functions. You would also hear like fidgeting comes under NEAT, but you can't really track fidgeting. But at least with steps, we can track it. So you're going to start with like 10K minimum every day. And as a rule of thumb, you're looking to drop about 1 kilogram of body fat per week, or at the very least like 1% of the scale weight, depends on the size of you. So for a lot of you, if you're 20% body fat, it's about 10 kilos. You'll probably pull off 8 to 10. Nail that off in a 12-week period and look fucking pretty spectacular. But we want to diet in the way that optimizes for holding muscle tissue. That is one of the most mission critical points. Like if we go back to his before and after photo, I wouldn't say we dropped any muscle whatsoever. Like if you look at this, just as full here as he was here, just looks a lot leaner. And obviously it wasn't. We did pull 10 kg off to get to this point. So that's how you're going to approach the dieting phase, with the aim of getting shredded whilst keeping as much muscle as humanly possible. Now, the third factor we're going to speak about is training, because obviously you're not going to build a top 1% physique without training. And the main message I want to give to you is to stick to one training split. I cannot stress this enough. Do not be changing your training split multiple times in an 8-week period. The reason for this is you will start you doing a movement, you'll get stronger, because in those first weeks, it's not that you're building muscle, it's just that your body is catching up to what it could actually lift through that movement. It's almost like it has to develop the pathway and the understanding of how to move it. Then it actually has a high degree of like force it can produce. But if you get to that point and think, right, now it's hard to add an extra rep, and then you change the split, guess what happens? You lose all that progress. You restart with a new exercise. You have to build back up to that pinnacle point. The true point of when you're building muscle is when it is hard to get one extra rep out every session, or or a little bit more load out every session. When you get to that point, that's when you're building muscle. That's when you need to double down on your training split even more. But people don't like to do this because it's hard to make progress every session. It takes a lot of effort to make progress every session, and it burns a shit ton of fucking like your cognitive function as well. So what I want you to do is track your performance and actually progress it every time you train. This sounds simple and this sounds simple. The reason people aren't in shape is because they change their training split too often, so they can't build consistency and know they're at the pinnacle point of adding an extra rep, or they don't track the performance anyway, so you wouldn't know if what you lifted last time. You'd have a rough understanding. But I'll be honest, if I didn't track what I lifted and I'm pushing everything to failure every time, you're not going to remember. Because you were at a state of where like you barely fucking breathing, just like fighting for your life to get an extra rep out. You tell me you're going to remember the exact number you lifted a week on. Of course you're not. Unless you've got like really good memory, but even still, it's just a waste of your memory in your own brain. Write it all down, track it, and make sure you're like, right, last time we got 9 reps, today we go for 10. And then you get it, or you don't, but you monitor in the notes why you didn't get out. Well, I got halfway back up this time, a bit further than last time, but not the full rep. You need to make sure you're progressing the same movements again and again and again over time, and that's how you will build muscle. It's not a sexy way of approaching training. It's not like you're getting new fancy exercise all the time. Those of you with fucking ADHD are going to find this very, very boring, but that's what builds a natural physique. The basics work. The basic movements have been around for the longest period of time because they work. Use dumbbells, hit the muscle in the lengthened position when it comes to chest, when it comes to quads and hamstrings. On your back exercises, use pull-ups, use pull-downs, use upper back rows. When you're doing your biceps, your basic movements work again. Look at them fucking arms, by the way. Look at the size of them biceps. The basics work. Shoulders, use a dumbbell, use a machine, use lateral raises, and you'll be good to go. Stick to the basics. Lift. When you do lift, this is what a lot of you get wrong. You will either not go deep enough. So let's say you're pressing. You'll start and you'll come down to about here. Let's blow this up even more. You'll start and you'll come to about here. Realistically, if you were to tuck your elbows in a bit more, you'll be able to get your hands all the way to here. Full range of motion, full stretch. When you do lift as well, a lot of you lift like this. And you just like flail your arms around. Instead, what you want to do is come down steady. 3, 2, 1, stop, press. 3, 2, 1, stop, press. I have to make this point because people do not lift correctly. And then also think about the arm path. Think about when you're pressing, it's the bicep to the pec that shortens the chest. It's not pushing the weight up and down using your shoulder. And obviously the last point of that is training to failure. What I will say is monitor your weeks you've been training, and around, depends, realistically anywhere from that 8 to 10 week marker. There's no set exact one, but around that point you're going to get to the point where you need a deload week. Because if you're training like this consistently for 8 weeks straight, that's 2 months of going to absolute war on every session, you will get that accumulative fatigue and you will be pretty cooked. So you're going to need that deload space. So bang it in for 1 week, drop a set off everything, keep a bit of the intensity, but drop a lot of the volume off, rest, recover, and get good to go. Rest days are your friend. Do not neglect your rest days. People that don't have rest days are people that probably don't train hard enough, because you need to recover. You can't be in the gym 6 days a week with 1 recovery day and be actually training properly. So realistically, 5 is the absolute most. 3 days on, 1 day off, then another 2, then 1 day off. Or 4 would be a pretty sweet spot as well. So then you're only just underneath your ratio of 1 to 1 there. You're at 4 to 3. So that can work very, very well. So use the rest days. Rest and recover, do your steps, eat well, sleep well, and you're going to be in a good position. And that really is it. You can understand from what I'm saying in this video, a lot of them are basics, like stick to 1 training split, just make progress all the time, and bang in your deloads. Some things are a little bit more my niche tactics, small deficit, high cardio, and high carbs. And then these obviously are my specific mindsets that I give to my members. You need to lay the foundations with these first, and that's how you're going to be able to do the second 2 points. So if you found this video of value, great. Subscribe to the channel, and I turn up daily, so I'll be able to see you tomorrow. And then if you want me to do this for you and get you in elite level shape, there'll be a link in the description. Come join us at the Gorilla Platoon on the inside. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.